Hi there. Welcome to the Old Guy's channel. You know, ever since LED bulbs became popular, more and more people are changing their incandescent lamps to LED lamps. LED stands for light emitting diode, and it's an efficient form of lighting. In fact, it has many benefits. Now, most of the fluorescent LED lights that replace the regular fluorescent bulbs generally come in many different sizes, but the most popular ones that I have found are the 4-foot bulbs and the 8-foot bulbs. I use several of the 4-foot bulbs and are quite satisfied with them. In fact, I'm in my office right now, and you can't see it, but this lamp is all incandescent or regular fluorescent bulbs, and they're pretty much burnt out. The ballasts are pretty much gone, so I decided I'm going to change it over to the LED. Now, when it comes to fluorescent lamps, they are driven by ballast. This is what makes them work. The LED, on the other hand, they don't use ballast. They're direct wiring, and some fluorescent lamps, the 2-bulb type fluorescent lamp, generally comes with 1 ballast, and then there's the 4-bulb. That's what this is, a 4-bulb system. This may have 1 ballast, or it may have 2 ballasts. So what I'm going to do is we're going to get into it in just a minute, and we're going to see what it's going to take to remove the ballast and then to make the connection so that it has the proper light. It's a very good system, and I'm not an electrician. Now, when you buy the bulbs, it comes with the recommendation that you get a licensed electrician to make the necessary changes for you and to do the job. But if you're like me, a lot of things you can do for yourself. And I've done this before for myself, and what I'm going to do is show you how I've done it. And if you feel competent enough, it might be something you might want to try. But if you don't feel competent enough, my recommendation to you is to get a licensed electrician to do it, because you are dealing with electricity. And you know, electricity can be very dangerous. One of the first things you want to do before you tackle a job like this is to be sure that the power is off. Now, you can do that several ways. Most people just flick the switch off, but that's really not the safest way to make sure the power is off. The safest way is to cut the power off at the breaker box. And one of the best ways to find out if you've got the right breaker is if the light works at all. When you flip the right breaker, the light is going to go off. So it's something good that you might want to be sure of before you tackle this job. The first thing we want to do is take the lens off. And sometimes they can be a little tricky, but it takes a little bit of effort and you can get it down, but you don't want to break it, so be careful. There you go. There we go. There, we got that off. Then the next thing we want to do is take the bulbs out. Just a reminder, when you remove the bulbs, be very careful with them. You don't want to break them because that could be a potential hazard. So treat them gently and try not to bump them against each other as you remove them. And store them in a safe place so they won't get damaged. And that'll make the project go a little happier. Now, to take the bulbs out, you just twist them gently, and then you can line them out and then pull them straight down. There we go. And after you get the 4 bulbs out, you need to take this center cover off. Now, sometimes this cover has 2 screws, 1 on each end. Some of them have just 1 screw. And this one, though, is just clipped in there. It has 3 clips, 1, 2, 3. And what you do is you squeeze it gently and pull it down. There you go. There we go. And then just tip it away. There we go. And this is where all the excitement is. Well, as you can see, as you look at this system, this is a 4-lamp system with dual ballast. It has 2 ballasts. Now, in order to install the LED lights, these 2 ballasts have to be removed. Now, the first thing you do is when you look at all of this wiring, it can make you a little nervous. It looks a little confusing, but it really is not as confusing as it may appear to be. And what you're going to notice also, on some lamps, there's just 3 wires that come from the main source, which would be the house or the office or whatever you're working on. Generally, there's a black wire, a white wire, and then there's the ground that grounds the system. Sometimes when there's more than one switch that operates the light, there are more than 3 wires. So what you want to be careful of is you want to look at which wires the ballasts are attached to. For example, this ballast has a white and a black wire, and I'm going to trace it down and see how it's attached to the main source. And then that's going to tell me how to rehook it back up. There we go. Okay. All right. You see, we have 2 black wires and 2 white wires. And that tells me how to rehook it back up. From the ballast, each ballast, the 2 main wires you want to be concerned with is the black wire and the white wire that comes out of the ballast. It also has 2 yellow wires, and that goes to one side of the light. And then it has 2 red and 2 blue that goes to the other side of the light. And you'll find both ballasts are pretty much the same. On this side also, you have the 2 yellow wires, the white wire, and the black wire. And where they're hooked up, that's exactly where you want to hook them back up when you redo it. When you pull the wires down, you'll notice that they always leave them a little long. The wires coming from the ballast, the blue and the red wires, there's generally some length to them, and you don't want to cut them close to the sockets. You want to cut them close to the ballast, so that gives you room for them to reach over to in this particular case, the black wire. And same thing with these here on the other side. Even though they're connected, when you cut the wires, the red and the blue, you want to cut them close enough to the ballast that as you stretch them, you can stretch them over to reach the white wire. When you've got everything cut loose, it doesn't look as confusing as it does when it's all tied together. As you can see, all of these wires go to one side of the lamp, and all of these wires here go to the other side of the lamp. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and unscrew the ballast and take the ballast out. Here's a picture of one of the ballasts that came out of the lamp. Now that the ballasts are out, we're going to make some connections. What you can use is some good quality wire nuts, and you'll have to cut them and strip them so that you can make some good connections. What I'm doing now is stripping the wires. There we go. You want to strip them back where you have about a 1/2 inch of good wire that's exposed. That's one. There's 2. And we have these to do also. That's the black wire. Now you notice that because there were 2 ballasts in here, there were 2 black wires, one going to each one of the ballast. I'm going to leave the two black wires and just tie them together. It's not going to hurt anything. So we'll tie them together. Now I have all of these stripped. We're going to go ahead and wire nut them together so that they got a good secure connection. One of the ways that I tie them together, I use a pair of pliers and I twist them around to get a good connection. Yeah. And it looks like that. All right, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to wire nut these together. And I'm using the red wire nut since it's got so many little wires in there. There we go. That's it. That looks good. So we're going to strip these wires back now, just like we did on this side. Then we'll make the connection. Then after we make the connection, we'll tidy it up and put it up in there. So let's strip these, and again we're stripping them about a ½ inch back. One. Now, if you had to do this with a razor blade or a utility knife, that would be not only a little dangerous, but take forever. And you know, the old guy, he's got to try to do things the easy way. It looks like a professional did it. I said it looks like. I like to do things for myself. I'm that kind of person. Ever since I was a young boy, I was interested in fixing things and repairing things. I saved my parents a lot of money with that, with the things that I fixed. I remember one time we lived up in New York, and our boiler for the furnace kept going out, and we kept calling the repairman, and every time he'd come, seems like it was a large bill, and this guy would be coming about twice a month. So I was watching him for a while, and I was noticing what he was doing. And needless to say, after a while, we didn't need him anymore, because all he was doing was resetting it. And I saw how to reset it, and well, you know the rest. I reset it. My dad was happy about that. And give me one of those red wire nuts, please. Thank you. That's the old lady who's working with me, the old gal. I'm the old guy. She's the old gal. She looks a lot younger than me, but she's only a year younger than me. She has, I guess, good genes. All right, so now you have to make sure that's good and tight, but you don't want to over tighten it because you don't want to strip it out. All right, so there we go. We got that there. We got that there. Now what we're going to do now, we're going to get some tape and tape it up so that it looks a little neat. It's going to hold it long enough for us to get our cover on. There you go. Then you give it a last look over Make sure everything looks good, nice and neat. All the wire nuts are good and tight. So as you can see, this is how it should look like after you've done everything. Everything is nice and neat. And those tapes that I put there are just temporary. That's so that I can get the cover on without the wires hanging down. Black to this side, all 4 wires. All the wires from this side tie into the black. All the wires from this side tie into the white. And there we go. It's looks neat. Everything is ready to go. So everything is good. Let's go ahead and put the cover back on. And again, we want to slip them into the push down on the end. Make sure none of the wires are pinched. And look along the sides. Be sure none of the wires are pinched or coming out. Let's make sure this is free here. Yep, everything is free. So let's get the bulbs and we'll put them in. The bulb that I'm using is a 28 watt bulb. It's a LED bulb. T8 tube light is what it says on the side. 28 watt. And it's a 6000 to 6500 K on the Kelvin scale. I bought these from Home Depot. Not Home Depot, I'm sorry, Amazon. And I bought several of them because they were the dual LED light type. What that means is if you look inside, there's 2 rows of LED lights. And when you take them out, there's some plastic caps on the end, on both ends, that you have to take off and discard. Then there's a plastic protective screen that you take off as well. Now, when you install them, you have to use good judgment. When you look at the way they're designed, you have to obviously put it with the LEDs facing down. It has a back and a front. So when you put it in, the LEDs need to face down like this. And so let's go ahead and put one in. Line up there. Line up there. Push it up. Okay, that's one. And let's go ahead and we'll put them in now. My assistant, the old gal, is helping me. So we'll put another one in. That's 2. Three and 4. There they are. 4 of them, all installed, looking good. Well, let's turn the breaker on and turn the switch on and see what we've got. Are you ready? I'm going to have my assistant take care of that. Boom! Well, what do you think? 4 lights, all lit up. That means we installed it just right. Everything is working. It looks good. All we have to do now is put the lens back on and we'll be good to go. So let's cut the light off again, and then we'll put the lenses on. Let's turn it back on and see what we've got. There we go. That looks beautiful. It's nice and bright too. And that's what it should look like. That's the LED conversion from the regular fluorescent lamps to the LED lamps. And these are the 4-foot ones. And this was a dual ballast system and 4 lamps. Now some of the newer 4-lamp ones that are fluorescent may only have 1 ballast. So you'll only have to deal with 1 ballast if you decide to do something like this. Then you have the 2-lamp system that generally comes with just 1 ballast. So this was a little bit more complicated because you're dealing with a few more wires. But when you look at it after you get the ballast out and you see which wires, the black and white, you separate them. You separate this side and you separate this side, and then you tie it together, and voila, that's what you end up with. When the lights turned on, they're actually a little brighter than they appear in the video because the camera made an adjustment for the excessively bright light, so it dimmed it automatically. But what you see, the light is much brighter than that. By the way, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. We would appreciate that. And if you'd like to subscribe to it, we encourage you to do so. Again, thank you for watching. This is the old guy signing off. Hope to see you again soon.